All right. I think I'm live, you guys. Just a sec. I want to make sure that everything says do not disturb. Yay. I think this is the first time I have done an Instagram live here on the Myo Training Academy. So before I let our guest of honor in, let me introduce myself. So I am the director of bravery at the Myofunctional Therapy Training Academy. My name is Carmen. I run Impact Myofunctional Therapy as well. And we're doing this because our signature program, Ditch Hygiene Academy, has opened today. And so I'm going to be visiting with Jess, who is obviously she was a student of mine. She has now become the associate in my practice. So throughout this launch, building up to this launch, I interviewed several of the students who have gone through my program because I can talk ad nauseum about why I think that it is the most comprehensive bomb diggity course on the market. But I really feel like if you connect with somebody else who had the same kind of concerns, that kind of stuff, I think that really says a lot. So throughout the launch, I have introduced you to other students. You have seen snippets or might have heard snippets. But if you go to my YouTube, you can see those full interviews. Jess and I are going to be doing very similar type of conversation today. I do have a list of questions that I'm going to be going over with her. But before we get into that, there's 3 questions I'm going to answer. I don't want this to be a Q&A about the Ditch Hygiene Academy. If you have questions, you can certainly look at the website. You can look at the YouTube videos. I have made tons of informational videos, or you could just message me and I'll get back with you. 3 questions. So who is the Ditch Hygiene Academy for? So it's for hygienists, and it's really clearly designed for hygienists who want to eventually get the hell out of the operatory, okay? That doesn't mean that you don't love your patients. That doesn't mean that you don't love dental hygiene. But because I teach you how to build a profitable dental hygiene a profitable myofunctional therapy practice, that's kind of always the goal, okay? To build your own dreams, not somebody else's. So that's really who it's for. Somebody who has a clearly aligned goal to someday do that. Now you get to decide how fast, how slow, gas, brake, but quite honestly, I think people get into it and they just can't wait to get going. So that's who it's for. When does enrollment close? Enrollment opened today. There is an early bird special for only 3 days, and then the rest of the enrollment will close on the 25th. And then the last thing is what makes us different. So I think the biggest thing, and Jessica and I'll probably be going over some of this stuff, and you will also learn a lot from if you watch the other videos. But what really sets us apart is, I think there's a couple things. I don't love you and leave you. I stick you in my back pocket. I teach you everything that I have done to build and run a successful multi-6-figure business. And nobody taught me that. Okay, so I had to figure everything out. So I absolutely give that all to you guys. I'm a transparent, open book. There's no secret family recipe here in the program. So that's the biggest thing. There's a lot of options out there on the market. This course is super duper comprehensive, but I have done what I teach you to do. So I tell all of my students or people who are contemplating taking my program, if you're going to invest in a program, you should invest with somebody who has done what you want to do, okay? And so whenever I give the example of don't ask for directions to St. Louis from somebody who has never gone there, there's a lot of people who are teaching who have not, knocked it out of the park with their own business. So that's really what sets it apart, is I put absolutely everything of my blood, sweat, and tears into this program. And it shows. It definitely shows. So with that said, I see that Jessica is in here. I think if you hear me, if you want to try and join in here. So one of the reasons, you guys, that I chose Jess to come on board as an associate is because I think. I invited her when I made her the offer to become my associate. She was a blank slate, so she hadn't taken anybody else's training, and she she had a very similar personality to me. So I always tell people, if you love me, you're going to love her. If you don't like me, you're not going to like her. So that was just a really good thing. And I've taught hundreds of students, and some have taken my training and some have taken other trainings, but Jess was, what I love about a clean slate is she didn't have any bad habits to break. She didn't have anything that I had to just fight against. So, hey, yay, friend, you're here.
Hello, hello.
We're becoming good, or, big pros at this.
Yes.
Okay, so Jess, I kind of introduced you a little bit. I think you heard some of that. Why don't you tell us who you are, how you got here? What brought you to Myo?
Perfect. So I'm Jessica, and I've had the amazing opportunity to not only be trained by Carmen, but then to be continually have Carmen in my back pocket. And when she truly says she's in your back pocket, she is in my back pocket, and will help with any situation. And I have just adored that. I have appreciated that so much, as I feel like sometimes we get this program and then we're just left to figure it out. But we haven't felt that way. And so the little plug in the beginning, I just have felt so grateful for that. But what got me into Myo is I was a burned out hygienist. I'd been a hygienist for about 12 years and I was burned out. I loved my patients, but I hated going to work, and I knew that I had to make some changes. And so I do a trip to Guatemala every year, and I was in Guatemala at the time, and I was actually got off the plane, and one of the doctors said, Jessica, something's wrong. What's the matter? And I just said, I'm burned out. I hate hygiene, and I used to love hygiene, and I thought everybody needed to be a hygienist. But I became totally burned out. And so then during the course of that week or 10 days that we were there, I found out about myofunctional therapy. The doctor introduced it to me, said, hey, have you ever thought of myofunctional therapy? And I'd honestly never heard of it. And so I found Carmen's program. I stayed up all night. I think I got 1.5 hours of sleep, found Carmen's program. And I was like, this is something I have to do. And I didn't dare buy it while I was in Guatemala. So when I got home, I landed in Dallas, and the first thing I did was purchase Carmen's program. And I thought, this is what I've got to do. So that's kind of what got me into myofunctional therapy.
I don't know if have I heard that version of the story?
I don't know. Maybe not.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Awesome. Yeah. Most people, when they get back into the United States, they want to check their emails and their texts.
Yeah. No.
Jessica enrolled. Okay. So,
yeah.
Total sidebar, but how did he introduce, what does he know about it that was so enticing to you?
So he had started using some devices in his office, and then he had heard of myofunctional therapy, but had not implemented myofunctional therapy. So he had heard that it was a good thing, and he was going to different seminars and things and learning more about myofunctional therapy. But then he was like, Jessica, this is like what a hygienist needs to do. Because he has been a dentist for a long time and has seen the path of burned out hygienists, and that's hard. But if you can implement these different things and teach new tools and tricks, it's phenomenal what it can bring back into that bring back into hygiene.
Yeah, breathe new life into it. That's awesome, because we all know that we fight continually to try and get doctors to understand what we do. But it gives me goosebumps. Okay, so how did you know that it was for you?
So as soon as I got and I purchased like the highest class, and I'm thinking, how am I going to do this? Like, I don't ever want to be a hygienist again. And how can I afford this program? And then but I just knew I had to do it. I just knew that it was something different for me. And as soon as I made contact, I remember our first phone call. I don't think we've ever talked about this. Our first phone call, I had that, you called, what did you call it?
Like a discovery
I can't remember.
Call?
Yes, the discovery call.
Yeah.
I signed up for that as soon as I got to the States. I paid for the class, and then I was like, well, I better figure out what this is all about. And I did a discovery call, and I just had all these questions. I had a whole notebook, but I had 30 minutes of your time. And at the very end of that 30 minutes, that bell rang, and I was like, but Carmen, and you just told me, you said, you know what, shoot me an email if you have any extra questions. I have a client right behind you. Shoot me an email. And I did. And I was able to send that email, and you responded like the next day or shortly thereafter. And I was like, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to do to be happy and to find a love with the knowledge that I have.
Awesome. Yeah, you keep giving me goosebumps. Okay, so what's your why?
So my why. So I have a little girl I've talked about before who struggles to breathe. She struggles to sleep. She struggled in school. She had ADHD symptoms. And my concern was, what do I do for this kiddo? And it got to the point that one night my husband and I were laying in bed, and I said, I think it's medication. I honestly think she needs to be on ADHD medication. She can't focus. She can't concentrate. And he was like, Jessica, we're not putting her on medication until we do some more digging. And then I start digging more into myo. Was currently in the course actually at this time, and I'm learning, and I'm all of these things that this helps. And I'm thinking, oh my God, like this is exactly what I needed. This is exactly what I've been searching for. That's not a pill. And I can help my own family. And I think that was what was so cool, is I have somebody that's right here, sleeps in my house, and I work with, deal with every single day, and I get to help her. So that was pretty cool.
Kind of like my story with Lindsay, when she was just passed around. And it's so funny because now she's 15, just turned 15. Yeah, just turned 15 yesterday. But it was just like, no, this is not right. So, and now, many people later, it's so rewarding. And that's what I love. And just like when you and I have meetings and talk about the clients, and it's like, yes, we're making a difference. It's so good. Okay, so what type of business are you building? So I mentioned you guys that she is my associate also, but she also is running her own company as well. So tell us a little bit about the business, because people who are considering to ditch Hygiene Academy, that's one of the biggest things that sets us apart is I run a successful business and I teach other people how to do it. So you've been working through that stuff even before I brought you on board. So tell us a little bit about that type of business. Are you working in an office? Are you brick and mortar, online? Tell us.
So my business is 100% online. I do everything online. I don't have rent. I do it from a home office. And that gives me the flexibility. So if my kids have programs, or if my kids have appointments, or if I have appointments, things that in a dental office I wasn't able to get because you have your set 9 patients for the day, and it's hard to get away. And so I run my business out of my home. And the thing is I have my own business and I work for Carmen, but she still is helping me run my own business, helping me set things up. If I have questions, hey, Carmen, I don't understand this. And so many times she said, Jessica, get this program or try this program. And I've been like, oh, Carmen, come on, I can't afford that right now, or I'm not going to get that program. And 2 months later, I'm like, okay, Carmen, tell me about this program. What do I need to do? How do I need to get this? And she's always willing to come back and do a Skype call and say, okay, Jessica, now that you've decided that this is what you need, let's roll. Yeah, I know. So she does help set up, like, this is the whole package. This isn't just, hey, I'm going to spew my guts and here you have a few things, a few items, and push you out the door. This is something that I am a part of and can be part of the rest of my life. And I have Carmen at my fingertips to help me be able to run my own business, not just her business.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes, I'm at your fingertips every Friday because we coach every Friday, most every Friday. Not just Jess. For those of you students of mine, there's coaching every Friday at 11:30. I show up and answer questions, talk people off the ledge sometimes. And most excitedly, we get to celebrate a lot of cool shit. First clients, a successful conversation with an orthodontist. So lots of exciting stuff. Okay, so next, Jess, what did you find the most enjoyable about your learning process? I know you're still learning. I'm still learning, but what have you enjoyed so far?
So probably most of it is just like grasping the knowledge that I have and knowledge that I wish I would have known 15, 20 years ago when I started dental hygiene. And I think that's the part that I just love to learn more because I just feel like I can grasp onto that and continue to learn. And I saw a 70-year-old patient today or client today, and I was like, and we're having troubles and we can't figure this out. And you have to go back and think, okay, these are the symptoms and this is what I need to do. And so not every client is laid out to say, this is exactly what we need to do every single time. But I feel like I've been given the knowledge to reflect on that knowledge and go back and say, hey, okay, Carmen taught me this, and I know this from this research article or whatever, and then I'm able to treat my clients to the best of my ability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's not cookie cutter, but a lot of people who have, like, a great example is, if somebody twists their ankle, a lot of those people with that same twisted ankle are going to have the same physical therapy or the same type of stuff. So it's not cookie cutter, but you definitely have to pull on your knowledge or common sense. Have you had to use any common sense yet?
Every day.
Every day. Yeah, I think it's the craziest thing, because when I used to have clients and I would think, oh, snap. Like when I saw my first client who had muscular dystrophy, I had to ask mom, like, how does that look for him? What is that like for him and his body, And I said, hey, we are flying by the seat of our pants here. I know what the goal is. I know what we want to work on. I know why you want to hire me, but okay, I can do this. I can do this. Common sense. So we are forever learning. What have you found to be the most challenging?
Wow. So probably one of the most challenging things is staying organized in the different areas, which you do teach us how to stay organized, but I just didn't listen the first time. So having to figure that out. So staying organized is really important. I think staying organized is really challenging. And then not doubting myself, because so often I think we are our worst critic. And so when a challenge comes up or something arises, and this happened to me today, it's still happening to me, and I see something that I'm not sure of, I just have to sit back, take a deep breath and think, you know what, I do know what I'm doing. I do know what I need to go. And maybe that meant giving, like my example today, it wasn't 6 exercises today, it was 3 exercises, and we're going to work on them for a shorter period of time. And I just had to tweak therapy a little bit. And it's a simple tweak, but it's something I had to think about. And it does get challenging in the moment. You have a short amount of time with your client, and then so you panic because I don't want to run out of time. And so probably that was the most challenging. And then completing my course, I was working full time in a dental office, and then have a family, so that was pretty challenging. But I missed a lot of sleep to do it, but it was important to me. And I think that when things become important to us, then we make time for it.
I love that you touch on that, because that's one question that people ask me a lot is, how am I going to do this? I do work full time or whatever. And I do think if you want something bad enough, you obviously make time for it. And I was working full time when I took my training, and I couldn't get enough of it. I mean, I always laugh, and Scott would probably kill me if he hears me say this, but every time he went to the bathroom, I hoped it was to go poop, because he would be in there for a while. So I could be like, back at my computer, I'm making a website. And he just got so, he'd walk by and I would just give him this cockeyed look. I'm like, oh yeah, he's going, So I could not get enough of it. I see we have a question later about staying organized, so that cracks me up. Okay, so what has been the most rewarding thing about your clients?
So the most rewarding is obviously at home. I mean, I get to see my own daughter, who literally did the alligator death roll in bed, didn't go to sleep until 1 or 2 in the morning, would get up at 6, was exhausted all day. And I wondered, what is wrong with this kid? Well, I obviously know what was wrong with this kid, right? And I've been able to watch her go to bed. She sleeps in the same spot. Covers never move. She gets up in the morning, makes her bed, and it's just one little, cover instead of picking up covers off the ground. So most rewarding to me has been definitely at home, and then the clients that I work with. And when we have moms that we're in the same position that I was, or adults who are just seeking answers that maybe they haven't been able to find, or keep getting told, hey, just go on a CPAP, that'll fix everything. And not knowing that there's a second line of defense, that there's something else out there that can help them. And then once we introduce that to them and share that with them, then it works. It's awesome. It's amazing to change people's lives.
Mm-hmm. I had somebody who had a release 2 days ago with Dr. Zoggy, and I saw her yesterday for therapy. And, of course, I always love that post-procedure appointment. How did it go? Because she had a significant tie, and she's a singer. I cannot imagine. She is a singer. It blows my mind. And when I asked her, well, what did you notice? Some people, and you probably already know this, but when some people go into their appointment and they're so freaked out and scared, they have such an adrenaline rush. They don't really feel that melt, that unwind, that tension release. And so she hadn't felt so much of that, but she described with the most beautiful adjectives the best night of sleep that she had had. And I just thought, and she said she woke up and she was just the color in her face was different. And you had mentioned that with that lady that you saw in Wisconsin at the sleep lab, like that she had a sparkle in her eye after she had a good night's sleep in the sleep lab, which just sounds crazy to say she slept good in the sleep lab, but I love it. Like some of our biggest challenges are patient management, are clients who are non-compliant or don't schedule or that kind of stuff, but it definitely outweighs the joy that is always dinner conversation at our house. Like, you wouldn't believe this is what's going on. Okay, so I like this question because I'm gonna attack you. No.
Great.
We'll see if you know what I'm
ready or
about.
not.
So, what have been some fears or mindset issues that you have had to overcome? Do you know what I'm thinking of?
No, but I'm sure you're going to bring up some stuff. I can only imagine. Do you want to just start and get it off the bat?
Yeah, I'll break the ice. So when I wrote this question, or when I reviewed them, I thought, do you remember our conversation when you had gone through the program? I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure where you were in the associate, whether you were on board with us or not yet, but you had gone back to working. You had left hygiene so Jess left hygiene as soon as she started the program, because she was in a position to be able to do so because her husband is very wonderful and very supportive of her. And then you went back to hygiene. Do you remember that, Jess? And so we had to have a heart to heart. And it wasn't so much that I was judging you by any means.
No.
It was, my question was, are you having trouble putting beanie weenies on the table, or are you scared? And do you remember what your answer was?
I'm scared, really scared.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was one of the biggest things. So when I saw that mindset, because I remember you and I having that conversation where I'm like, hey friend, I 100% get it. If and so you were scared, but also you were experiencing like, hey, we're used to having this money and we have kids. And so you were experiencing some pull. And so you probably had to think again about, your enough, like, hey, what can I just eke by? And I know you do a little bit of one day of hygiene a week to stay in the good graces of the law. That was the thing that came up for me, was that I just remembered that when I was like, are you afraid of being successful doing this? And you were just like,
yeah, actually really, really scary because it is scary. It's the unknown. You're jumping into it. Obviously, I quit a 5-day-a-week job and went to the no income. And so that was really scary. And then, and I remember you saying, like, Jessica, sit down and do your enough. And I even have that in my folder that I keep in my desk. It's what is my enough? And I actually enjoy doing 1 day of hygiene a week. And it's enough. And sometimes it's not every week. Sometimes it's twice a month, and that's perfect. And that works for me. I would love to not do hygiene ever. I mean, that would be, and just run the business. But for my license, I need to keep doing that. And that's fine. Like, I'm happy doing that. And that works for me right now. And that is my enough.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so
I do remember that.
That's funny. And for those of you, I see some of my other students in here. So hello to you, beautiful ladies. So they also know what their enough is. For those of you watching a replay, I have a lesson where you have to discover what your enough is, because if, like what Jess was just saying, how she just kept working because she was afraid. So she didn't want to do the hard, scary things that were going to take her closer to her goal, but she was continuing just to get a paycheck. So it's really hard if you're still getting that paycheck. So when you're considering what your enough is, that's basically just what your bare bones to get by is. I'm not saying have the water and the power shut off, but I'm cutting out things like maybe getting your nails done or the unlimited plan on your phone, those type of things, so that you know what your bare bones is. That's why I have Jessica on staff, is because I needed to explore my enough a little bit more so I could have some more time. Number one, for the creation of this program, because I also was finding myself in a work-life imbalance, and that's not why I did this too. And it's a hell of a problem to have. But that's what she's helping me do, is get closer to my enough so that I can have time for other projects. So aside from that, Jess, since I busted your on that. Did you have other fears or mindset issues that you can think of?
I did. I tell Carmen this all the time. I looked at her as my myo, like she was everything. And Carmen did it. So why can't we? Why can't the rest of us? And when it didn't start happening right overnight for me, it was really challenging. And so then again, I think that self-doubt, you go into self-doubt, and then, oh my gosh, maybe I just need to pick up another day of hygiene, or maybe I need to do this, or, maybe I even got on Indeed. Like, as embarrassing as that is, I got on Indeed thinking I need to do something. And then I just kept hearing Carmen, and I hear Carmen's voice a lot on my shoulder, just saying, Jessica, what is your enough? And so our family, like Carmen says, cut back to the point we've never cut back before, ever, to what we did to make this work. And like Carmen says, I have a super supportive husband, an extremely amazing husband who supported me in this decision. And he just kept telling me, Jessica, it takes time. It takes time. And so if I can give any advice tonight to students coming in, just give it time. It doesn't happen. You don't go to sleep and then wake up to an amazing business. It takes time, but it gets there. And it's pretty dang amazing when it happens.
Yeah. And it's like that snowball. So you just have to sometimes start pushing it downhill. We have celebrated our first student in here who had her first paying client 16 weeks in, which is, I think, about what I was, because my training course was, I think, 12 weeks. And I think it got done in April, and I had my first paying client in May. So it was right about the same time. So the biggest thing is, and I teach on this ad nauseum, is building your network, building those relationships. Jessica, you have been tremendous at building you're finding your people, because they will start referring to you. And you get one person, like I was talking about this client who's the singer. I think I've had six examples, like this is just very recent. And it's like, oh my gosh, all my singing students have concerns here, here's another one, here's another one. So it's really important to build that network. Any other fears or mindset issues that you can think of? Those are two pretty big ones.
Yeah, I'm sure I have a big long list. I mean, as I think about it. Yeah, I know. I was like, did I write any more down? Because I know I was thinking about some challenges that I had. One of them was finding clients. How am I supposed to do this? And I remember Carmen multiple times saying, you have to find providers. You have to find those providers that believe and that think the same way that you do. And I know we've discussed this before so many times. I'm not going to sit and just beat my head against the wall anymore. And I wanted to in the beginning. I wanted to just get these providers to believe everything that I did, and to give them all the research and to show them all of this. And I don't do that anymore. If you choose not to believe what information I'm willing to share or have to share with you, that's fine. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to have an uncomfortable conversation. I will move on and find somebody that believes. And once I did that, it's amazing how many people you put in your circle.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I always say we don't educate idiots. And that's just, I still feel that way. Like, we do not have to fight to get to somebody to understand what we do. I remember, was it the orthodontist that told you I only do science-based, blah, blah, blah?
I only treat scientifically.
Yeah.
And I said, and so do I. So, and then it's somebody I just don't want to fight with. Well, these articles here. And I said, well, these articles here, but it's just not worth it. It's not worth, because I have so many people in my corner that are willing to talk to me, to teach me, to help me. Why am I not spending time with them?
Yeah. And there's providers all over who, will just randomly reach out to me, and they're wondering, like, how come I didn't know about you sooner? So you just find those people, and we all don't have to have the same providers, the same network. Some of us, Jess, you have been finding your own providers. That's one thing in the course. We do share information, and I share as much as I can about my providers. But I had a student who, I don't think it was you, Jess, but thought was going to step on my feet if they were using my provider for my tongue tie release, Dr. Beaneman.
That was me.
Was that you? And
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell? He's like the best, and I refer everybody in the state to him. Like, why would you not want to go somewhere else? And also, there's a reason that I like that human, so why wouldn't you want to go use them too? But yeah, I couldn't remember if it was you, but that's funny. Okay. So what would you say to someone who has those same concerns? So you've kind of touched on that a little bit.
Yeah, don't wait, jump in. You think about, and I remember, Carmen, this is one of those things that later I was like, oh, you're right, Carmen, you're right. But 3 paying clients and you've paid off the course, right? Mm-hmm. So you think about 3 clients and your course is paid for. And if you start talking and open your mouth, and one of the things I would definitely recommend is make small goals. Make small goals. I wanted to make 6 figures because Carmen made 6 figures. And so I just figured like the first month out of the gate, I should be making 6 figures because that's what Carmen's doing. And that's not the case. And
Not
it's still,
per month.
yeah, I know. And it's still growing and growing, but make small goals. Like maybe shoot for 1 client, or maybe reach out to 1 provider, or maybe open your mouth in the dental chair, or, you know, talk to somebody on the street. And I know sometimes it's not easy. And I, you know, when I get off work, I just want to come home and whatever, but I think it's super important to just make small goals. We have your huge goals, have your big goals that you're always working towards. But always make small goals so that you aren't just beating yourself up. Oh, well, I missed another goal this month, right? You know, and I obviously beat myself up a lot over stuff like this. So I make little small goals so that I can make myself feel better and feel like I am achieving and on my way to making 6 figures.
Yeah. And the thing, just for the record, I should look at the number. I think it was 25 or 30,000 the first year. That first year that I was in business. So my first client, I think, was in May. But then my first full year was 6 figures. And so from there, I always was like, okay, so what's my growth goal for next year? Well, I don't know, you know? So my goal for anybody watching this was not 6 figures. I couldn't have cared less about that, or couldn't have cared more. I did not want to lift. I didn't want to steal another tooth or ever say 4, 4, 3, 4 again in my life. And so I only wanted to replace my hygiene income. That's all I wanted to do. I honestly never thought that there was the abundance out there. And there truly is abundance. Like we talk about mouth breathe, like go to the mall, go look around. And this is one of the fear-based questions that I get asked a lot from potential students. Where will I get clients? Just like you, Jess. And I didn't have a magic answer for you, did I? Like keep building your network. Like I don't have a grab bag of clients for you. Like you have to build that network. You have to build those relationships. I can give you everything under the sun. Hey, here's what I did. The way I got started, my good old fashioned basic marketing plan is still the most ghetto plan there is, but it works and it brings in a ton of business, you know? And so it still kind of cracks me up. My accountant probably wonders why my postage bill is so high every year, you know, for mailing out packages. Hi, I'm Carmen. Okay. So what are some decisions that you've had to make?
So decisions that I've had to make are, how am I going to make this grow, right? Because yes, I work for Carmen as an associate, but that doesn't mean that my schedule is full top to bottom every single day and I'm making millions of dollars, right? And so, because I think sometimes they're like, well, you're Carmen's associate. And I've heard that, well, you work for Carmen. Well, you're exactly right. But we're sharing clients, we're discussing clients, we're talking about clients, which I very much appreciate. But I think like I have had to make some big decisions about who I'm going to go talk to, who in my area, my state, the state surrounding me is interested in something that I have to offer. And you have to have those brave conversations. And it's scary. I mean, I feel like I can talk to anybody, but it's my stomach still gets butterflies. I still get nervous walking up and say, hey, I'm a myofunctional therapist and this is what I do. So I think those brave conversations are super important.
I love that. And my magic words, I can help you. I can help you. My favorite words. So brave conversations was the next thing. Do you have a specific brave conversation you've had recently?
I think you just have to talk. Bottom line, you have to talk. And sometimes you have to slow down and think during your conversation. And so some brave conversations I've had are telling parents that, hey, we might have to pause therapy because we have to pause therapy right now because your child needs X, Y, and Z before we can continue effectively. And that's scary because I don't want them, I don't want that to reflect on me as, hey, well, you started therapy. Why are you pausing it? And so I've really been concerned about that. But being able to explain to these parents, hey, this is the reason we're pausing therapy. We will resume therapy. We will be in contact. We want what's best for your kids. And the responses have almost been overwhelming. Like, we love that you care about my kid. We love that you care about me enough to say, hey, you're not just going to take all of our money and push us out the door, but you're willing to do what it takes to get our child to whole health. And I love that. So those are brave conversations, I think. And then Conversations about money are tough when you're having these financial discussions with parents and they say, well, we just can't do that. You know, if money wasn't an issue, I would want to say, is your health an issue or is it a money factor? You know, but we do have to be kind and compassionate to the financial status of some people, and we have to lay it out. But on the other hand, we have to take care of ourselves. And I mean, we have to take care of ourselves that you can get paid for what you do. That doesn't mean you need to charge $50,000. That just means that you have to have that conversation of, I'm feeding a family, you're feeding a family, let's make this work for us.
You also have to value for yourself. And that is one of the things that I think shock a lot of the students, especially when I recently taught the pricing lab, because I think everybody wants me to tell them how they should price their services. And I said, but you got to, what's your value? Like, you know, what's your enough? What you have to make versus what somebody else has to make, or maybe somebody's a sole earner, that kind of stuff. But the biggest thing is we don't crowdsource. We provide, you know, we say, just like a dentist, here's what I see, here's what I recommend, here's the best route for you. It is not our position to assume whether they can and can't afford it. I have talked a lot with my students about the fact that I have a ton. I'm always so humbled by how many young 20-something, mid-20s that I have that pay full price or pay in full for therapy. And I just, you know, I used to have the thought of like, oh, they're just a waste of time because they're not going to be able to afford therapy. And that generation values their health. And so a lot of them are just like, absolutely. So sometimes it's hard. And it's our job to educate and lay everything out and then let them make decisions for sure. Okay, so talk to me about boundaries. You know, I'm a big boundaries person. And just for the record, everybody, I say that and then I laugh because I have contacted Jessica before when she's been like showing pigs and doing something with chickens, or one day she had to go pick up turkeys from the post office. So Jess, talk to me about boundaries. What boundaries are you having to set?
So again, and when I say these are lessons that I've had to learn over time, because I was like, oh no, I'll just take anybody at any time. If you're willing to do myofunctional therapy with me, I really need to build my business and I'll take anybody at any time. And I've really learned that you have to set boundaries. Now, my boundaries still change sometimes. I'm not saying that I am hard and fast. I'm in my office when I say I'm in my office, and I'm working on this. This is something that I struggle with, and so I'm working on this. But I have said no to like Saturdays. I'm not working Saturdays, one Saturday a month. So I work one Saturday a month if I need to get clients in that can't get in during the week or whatever. But I work one Saturday a month and I only offer them that Saturday. And so it's so important to make boundaries. And as Carmen said, my life is crazy. Besides the business that I'm running, and we travel all over, we show pigs, and we have turkeys, and we have a small animal farm, I feel like it sometimes, but that's important to me, and that's important to me to be able to spend time with my kids doing those things. And so I think that I have to take time, and I have to say, when I leave this office, when my computer is closed, when I shut the door to my office, I am done. I'm done for the day, and I don't come back in here. And I've had to teach myself that, because I could sit here, like Carmen said, and oh, I need to tweak this, and oh, I need to write this paper, and oh, I need to reach out to this provider. Oh, did I do this? I better double check. And instead, you just have to set boundaries. That is so, so, so important.
Yep, absolutely. And I was just thinking, that wasn't even so much about boundaries. That's a more a comment about you having the freedom with your schedule, having your own business, being your own boss. You get to say, hey, I have school pickup at this time. I get to do this at this time. I mean, none of us are ever perfect by any means. I mean, for crying out loud, I'm sitting here in my workout gear because I chose different boundaries today than to put on something more glamorous for you all. And I'm sure you could not care either. But boundaries are a big thing. And also we do work on boundaries. But also, if you don't set some boundaries to have some white space in your calendar to work on your business, to do these type of things, then it's going to be hard to move forward. So it's always a balance. All right, Jess, how are you staying organized?
Staying organized. So I love 17 hats. And this is one of those things that Carmen told me to get a long time before, and I never did. So that one of the things that I do every day is I reconcile every day. So one of the parts of the program that Carmen taught me was to take 2 days out of the month. And I was doing that, but then with some of the providers that I get or that I receive referrals from, it's hard if I don't stay up with it. And so I have chosen at the end of the day, I take 15 minutes, I reconcile all my books, I do all my accounting, I do everything that I need to do, and then I walk out of the door. And that has really, really helped me. I want to be brave and do that twice a month. I'm just not there yet. So, but for now, that is really helping me. And then I have all my kit stuff in my basket. It's right here. I'm not digging for it different places. And before my clients, I lay the items that I might need. Obviously therapy changes, and I lay those out. So that helps me to be organized, to just know, so I'm not digging through, wasting time during somebody's therapy session. I have folders and I keep a notebook right next to me. And so if something pops up or I hear something, and it may not pertain to that client, but maybe a good book that they read or something, anything, I jot it down on my notebook. And then I have everything right here next to my side, like Carmen's Post-it notes and notebook. Yes. Mm-hmm. And so that helps me to be organized, because I can look in one spot instead of having a sticky note over here and a sticky note over here. I can have all my sticky notes in one spot and my notebook. So that really, really helps me. But I think programs, I haven't really dived into Trello yet. I do have Trello, haven't really dived into that yet. I need another Carmen session probably on Trello. But I know, but staying organized just every single day, being prepared is huge. And if that means that you stay 20 minutes later in your office to be prepared for the next morning, I'll do it, because I want to be prepared for my clients the following day, no matter what. And therapy can change. Just understand that it can change. But if I have my basic plan of what I'm going into, what we talked about last time, what appliances they may have, all of the things, it just makes it a lot easier to stay organized.
What do you think about the templates that I provide you with? Do you think that makes it easier than like just willy-nilly deciding what you're going to choose? Talk about that, if you would, for a second, because I think that's a big organizational piece.
Yes, those are glorious. So when I started this program, like I jumped into it pretty much blind. I didn't really do a lot of research. I was just like, this is what I want to do, and I'm going head on, right? Head first. And Carmen provides templates for everything, for your referral to a doctor, for your templates for therapy. She helps us get a plan to begin therapy. Now we can change that. We can move things around. We can do things in different order than Carmen may have, but it is literally spelled out right then and there what works, and it works. It's tried and true, and it works. And so I don't feel like I have to read all these books to figure out all these exercises to get all these things put together. It's there, and it just makes it flow so much easier.
I think that's probably one of my favorite parts and of my day, because, being organized, I step into my office 15 minutes before I see a client, boom, boom, boom. I have everything opened up. I know exactly. The only thing I have to look for is, do I need something with a straw? Do I need a can? Do I need a glass of water? Do I need, everything else is in my basket. And unlike you, I'm digging. I'm always like, where's my stuff though? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I still do, because I'll switch something up and then I'm like, dang it, I wasn't prepared for that.
Like, where's my bite block? Yeah.
But Google Docs, like get yourself just all set up in Google Docs. I mean, and Carmen will teach you how to do that. I had never used that until I began myofunctional therapy. And so get that set up to the point you click, 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 click. Everything's open. Skype's open on one side. I have an extra monitor, which is super helpful. I have everything open, and I'm ready to go. Like Carmen said, you can walk into your office 15 minutes before, sit down, have your stuff laid out. You're ready to rock and roll.
Yeah. I love that part. I'm all about efficiency. And so not only do I teach you the stuff, the myo stuff and the business stuff, but like just how to be efficient. You guys will get so good at knowing what you can do in 1 minute. And I was laughing at dinner last night telling somebody, because my clients I don't answer the call until it's the minute of their appointment, because I might be with somebody else. And if I'm not, I can unload the dishwasher in under 2 minutes. So they're not going to get me early because I'm doing stuff. And I love it because I can get so much done.
Mhm.
Okay, so what has been your favorite thing so far with the Ditch Hygiene Academy or Myomac? So I don't think I've mentioned this, but Jess trained in my old program, which was the Myomac. So she was with me for a year in that training. And then I kind of forced her to go into Ditch Hygiene so that she was just really cutting edge and really up to date on everything. So what has been your favorite thing so far with any, just with me as your brave leader?
Yeah, I love it. So forced probably isn't the best word, because I was like so floored that she would ask me to be part of that, because it is so cool. And what is the best part? Is that what you want to know about?
Yeah,
Is that what it is?
your favorite thing
Yeah.
so far about.
So is I have everything at my fingertips. I literally can sit in here at midnight or 2 in the morning or whatever, when I'm wake up and I'm thinking about whatever, or can't get work off my mind because I'm thinking about this or whatever. And I can sit down at my computer and she has it completely laid out. This is your lesson. These are your videos. Hey, here's some examples. How about you watch me work with a client? How about you watch all of this stuff? It's there. It's when I was working full time, I would put my kids to bed, and my goal was to be on my computer at 8 o'clock at night. And sometimes I would stay up until 1 in the morning, and it about killed me. But I just wanted to soak it all in. But it's all laid out. This is what you do step 1. This is what you do step 2. And it's not only, here's Myo. This is what you do for Myo. This is what Myo is. This is what Myo treats. It's not just that. It's, hey, do you want to learn how to do a website? Let me show you how to do a website. Let me help you get contacts for a website, or legal contacts, or anything. I mean, it's the whole kit and caboodle, for better words to say. It's the whole thing, not just, hey, here's how to be a myofunctional therapist. Peace out. And then the templates that we can change. We can put our business logo on. We can put our own personal name. We can do whatever we want. She just gives them to us.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that, because hearing it from, I'm somebody who likes to hear from other people. Like, hey, this is what I love about something. Basically, anything that I think that my students need, I create. If somebody asks for something, just like the other day, Jess, you and I did a training on sleep promotion strategies because somebody asked for it. And I realized that it was a lesson that I had not included in the 40 weeks of training for the gold program, so you and I hopped on and did it, and there it was. So there's also a new lesson on using Trello. Do you know that?
I'll be jumping on and finding that.
Then
we'll talk.
I just published it today. Welcome to the Trelloverse.
Perfect. Awesome. I'll jump on, because they're so helpful.
Oh yeah, Trello is my favorite. And then I've discovered something new called If This Then IFTTT. So it's another, like, this other little program. So now today I've been messing with it. If I do something, if I outline it in Evernote, it automatically makes a Trello card. And if I post something to YouTube, it automatically posts it in Facebook. It's like if
magic.
This then that.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, I'm totally geeking out over it.
Yeah, magic.
Yeah, it's but a lot of delete buttons too. So and something got posted, telling people about this last night. They got told it was yesterday, and then, or they got told it was tomorrow and tonight.
Oh, it happens.
And Erin was like, is it tonight or tomorrow? I said, it's tomorrow. She said, well, look at your postings. I'm like, oh, love that.
Thanks.
Okay, let's get ready to land this plane. So what would you say to somebody who is considering jumping in? Because that's why we're doing this. I was talking about that before you came on, that I had interviewed a lot of other students. Those videos are available on YouTube. So you can hear, they're answering all of the similar questions, like what brought them here and what are their goals and what are they experiencing, that kind of stuff. So since the enrollment is open, what would you just say to somebody who is considering jumping in?
Just do it. And I'm not saying that because I work for Carmen. I'm saying just do it. It is seriously the most expansive program I think that there is out there on the market. It has amazing, we have everything at our fingertips, and we have Carmen in our back pocket. And I'm not kidding when I say that she is in our back pocket. She will walk us step by step by step by step. Obviously, we need to be cognizant of her time too, but she is willing to, hey, let's block 30 minutes out in 2 weeks or 1 week or whatever works for both of our schedules, and let's talk about this, and so you understand it more. She's very willing to do that, and that's phenomenal. And just remember, it's 3 clients, and you're pretty much paid for, depending on how you market. But if you look at it, 3 comprehensive clients, and you have your course paid for, you have everything at your fingertips. You have all your documentation that you can download. Don't wait. And I'm not just saying that, I'm saying, and there are plenty of myofunctional impairments out there for all of us. And I think some people are like, oh, I'm not going to tell you that and that's why I was nervous to use Carmen's provider. Like, well, Carmen, I don't want to step on your toes, because if I use somebody in Denver, that might be stepping on your toes. And she's like, Jessica, there could be 5 million more myofunctional therapists, and we would still all be able to have work and keep work.
Yeah, absolutely. And those providers, I mean, I'm pretty sure, bless his heart, Dr. Bieneman, like, he doesn't I have no idea how their referral system works, but I can guarantee you I don't get all of it, and you won't get all of it. And like, there are too many of us amazing humans, and I'm sure that they share it. Maybe it's where we're located. I don't know. But yeah, the biggest thing is I do not feel successful until my students are successful, which is why when we go into coaching on Fridays, I first want to know about the wins. Yes, we'll get to the struggles. Yes, we'll get to the questions. There's 3 different levels of enrollment. So, and Jess was the gold level. So she literally had lots of one-on-one time with me. Everybody's goals are different, and so that will kind of dictate where they go into. Most of the students in the program have been gold level, so they are always doing one-on-one coaching with me. And also, I tell a lot of people to bring their questions to coaching, because I don't want to hog the goodness. So if Jessica has questions and she wants to know, how do I use IFTTT? How do I use Trello? How do I do this? I'll say, great question. See me on Friday at 11:30 Mountain Daylight Time, and I'm going to help you with that, because everybody else in that same room has the same question, or somebody else does. So thank you, my friend. I have so much enjoyed watching your journey. You're just starting to blossom. And I love it. Yeah. You're just seeing the confidence and seeing you learn, and your passion for it. Because you had a couple of days where you're like, oh, hell, I don't know. Like, this is scary. This is nervous. Anything worth having is worth figuring out a way to do it. So
exactly. And it takes blood, sweat, and tears. You just cannot expect it to come overnight. Both of us, have experienced our own journey with how hard it is, and it is hard, but on the other hand, it is so rewarding. And I would encourage anybody, if they're like on the fence, jump, go for it, and do it. It will just create this a really amazing life for you, and more flexibility than you have sitting in private practice.
Oh, absolutely. And again, everybody has different goals. It's not money for everybody. Some people just want to be a better parent. Jess, you wanted to really be involved with your kids. I don't have kids, but I don't have kids at home, but I'm very involved with my pets. I'm very involved with my grandkids. My butt is in the bleachers for every game. Like, that's what I love, is being able to take my schedule and say, no, I'm only going to work. I'm currently working 3 hours a day, 3 days a week, to see clients, and I'm loving it. I am loving it. So thank you so much, my friend, for taking the time
thanks for having me.
Be here. And I will see you soon.
Yep. Talk to you soon. Thanks, Carmen.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.